What's going on, guys, and welcome to the Diamond Standard YouTube channel at The Collector. We're going to be headed into day number 22, which is going to be wild. Game number 1, ranked Diamond, first match, 2 minutes and 55 seconds. Please like, comment, and subscribe. First match against a War deck. Gonna be a alright opening hand with Voracious Fiends. The double Necroceptor doesn't please me, but it is what it is. We decide to go as aggressive as is possible. And with this approach, we're in really good shape. He does the Devouring Blade, it kills a zombie. I get another Voracious Fiend out there and have him at 12. He gets that warrior out there, but it is not enough and he surrenders. Headed in game 2 with 1 win and 0 losses, a rank of diamond, and a match time of 9 minutes and 25 seconds against a death deck. Opening with a pretty strong hand. Always good to see the scepter up front. Instead of opening up the opportunity for him to get more mana, we just decide to swing on him. He then plays Echo, and that is a pretty bad. I Ragnarok as I need to see that 5 damage per turn go away ASAP. Ray of Disintegration on the Warden, giving me the Petulant Imp back. He Blight Bombs to keep me down. When he drops a Jason, that's a pretty cool. Always love to see a Jason. I go with a Fickle Cambion. Curse of Greed takes one of them out. Jason gets the other. I should have probably pumped one up, but he still would have taken him out slowly, and I knew that I could Vampiric Skull to get one back. He gets rid of the Vampiric Skull, but pumps up the Fickle Cambion in his efforts. He then clears the Fickle Cambion with a Ray of Disintegration. At this point, I decide to try to put out as much as I can, trying to keep my nethers alive. His Oni is quite a pain. Ray Disintegration, so he's not able to keep healing with that. Blade of the White Plains, so pretty wild. Then I get the Arch. Very fortunate he played his Blade before I pulled the Arch. He then Apocalypse Now, which is wild. This guy's deck is a super dope. Congratulations, Escobar. And just like that, at turn 8, I get super lucky. I drop a Wicked Fae. I ping for 1. I Corpse Explosion. And then I Ragnarok for the victory. That is a highlight game for sure. Headed into game number 3 with 2 wins and 0 losses. Rank of Diamond and a match time of 4 minutes and 5 seconds against a mage deck. Always a strong opening with at least one Obelisk or Scepter in hand. And then I like the Decaying Rhino against a magic deck because I'm able to pop him out there and it takes multiple spells for them to clear him. He's going for mana, so I know he's going to be trying to set off expensive combos, and I want to go as wide as possible, as quickly as possible. I go Decaying Rhino because I know I'm going to need something that's going to survive the Shaped Blast or a similar spell. When I pull the second Ragnarok, I like my odds. That's a 6 damage for 2 mana. And then when he doesn't clear my board, I win with the turn 5 Corpse Explosion. Headed into game number 4 with 3 wins and 0 losses. Rank of Diamond. This match is 8 minutes and 59 seconds against a war deck, and he has just an absolutely phenomenal board and cool trinkets, and it's the famous Sam Bam from Infinite Mana. I get a decent opening hand. When he destroys my scepter, I'm a little worried about it, but I just play another one and keep on getting thicker. He's keeping my zombies suppressed pretty well, so I decide to go as wide as possible. Of course, the magic missile launcher, always dope to see. When he left just enough alive to get the Nether Swarm Lord and its ability off, I know I'm in good shape. He of course kills it off and a couple of zombies, but that's okay because I know Decaying Rhino is in his future. Woodcutter Imp, always nice. I'm gonna let that survive as long as he wants it to, almost. But usually I would. At this point, I want to keep him from getting a bunch of favor. But he still has board clear without the Valks. But he is unable to get it that turn, which is really nice. I lose my Decaying Rhino. I go for the card draw. It took me a second, and I decided I did not love the Fickle and got to the Ray of Disintegration. He clears my board a little bit. Curse of Greed and Nether Swarm Lord, always nice when I have a strong moment like that. Demogorgon, I thought I'd be running into something very strong like that, but I have the win in my hand with 6 damage, and he surrenders before I can pop the corpse explosion. Headed into game number 5 with 4 wins and 0 losses. Rank of Diamond, 4 minutes and 3 seconds against a Deception deck. Of course, gonna face another awesome Genesis board. Here is the Warden. I know I want to put one of these creatures in the graveyard so that the Warden will bring it back. I go with the Decaying Rhino because I think you'll have the toughest time clearing it from the board. And then I end up having Decaying Rhino and Fickle Cambion. He clears that and I bring it back. At this point I have a lot of damage per turn, and that was preventing him from drawing more cards. He hands it back over and I end it on turn 6. So this has been a crazy day so far, and we are headed into game number 6 with 5 wins and 0 losses. A rank of Diamond and a match time of 5 minutes and 32 seconds against a nature deck. Finally, we see somebody without a crazy board. It me, he says. I get the scepter out and hope he just continues playing as much as he possibly can. I drop the Ragnarok and the Cursed Obelisk. That way I am wide and his creatures are likely to die. He does lose both creatures, and I come at him with 2 Petulant Imps, trying to get him to lose just a little bit of favor. The Pack Succession was a very interesting play, followed by the fortunate Bunkin Bronco. I clear that to keep my Decaying Rhino alive as long as possible because I know a couple of turns and a good corpse explosion will put me in great shape. Curse of Greed his Ember Spider so that he's unable to clear my board. I know I just need most of my creatures to survive. He, in fact, does not clear enough of my board. I do the math, and I have it with Corpse Explosion. Headed into game number 7, and I go Mythic! 6 wins and 0 losses. This match is 12 minutes and 35 seconds against a Mage deck. This player is in Mythic and doesn't believe in boards or trinkets. Everyone has their own style. I don't love my opening hand, seeing as the cost of everything is almost unable to be played. But against a mage deck, sometimes it's not the worst. He ends up having one of the decks that I am not very familiar with. And he has a lot of board clear. I decide to just keep using that Decaying Rhino to put down as much damage as possible. He ends up being able to clear it anyway, and I keep popping out little zombies. He is able to clear that. He is running a very efficient, cheap deck. I decide to go with the Fickle Cambion to keep the zombies coming, and because I'll be able to bring it back with the Vampiric Skull, which is going to be best for me. He clears my entire board and keeps coming out strong. I go with the Vampiric Skull, wanting my obelisks back, looking to bring zombies out to pump up with the Nether Swarm Lord. And he is efficiently able to clear my board all over again. I go with the Arch, hoping, but I know he will buy the Valk's Discovery. And in fact, he takes out my Arch. At this point, I know I'm in rough shape, so I get the Nether Swarm Lord and a Voracious Fiend out there, and then he Ember Onis. Terrible situation. I decide to just try to be as wide as possible and as thick as possible using the Nether Swarm Lord's buff. And then, to my surprise, he does a second Ember Oni, and I pretty much know at this point I don't stand a chance, seeing as he has healed an astronomical amount. But I always play it out, especially in Mythic. You never know what could happen. I swing on him thinking most of his heal will be gone with both of his Ember Onis out of his deck. Labyrinth Guardian. I go ahead and get the Ragnarok process started, and then of course he heals. I destroy the creature that's able to attack, thinking if anything could happen I have to stall. And he starts going dumb with spells, and I realize he will be winning sooner rather than later. I have to attack his front line, which was annoying. I clear one of his creatures and drop a scepter. I anticipate he's going to end it. And in fact, with an Unbound Flame, he is pretty much drawing it in. So headed into game number 8 with 6 wins and 1 loss, a rank of Mythic, and a match time of 6 minutes and 39 seconds. Seeing a lot of high cost in the mulligan phase, and then end up drawing into Vampiric Skull. Not too disappointed with a Necroscepter in my opening hand, but then I see they also open with a Necroscepter. Just trying to get myself established on the board. It's basically neck and neck, but he has advantage because he has first turn. I know my Curse of Greed is going to be a decent choice against his Obelisk, and I go with the Skeletal Hoplite. He goes ahead and buys the Ruin of Fire, and I know he's going to be able to clear my board. At this point, I know I'm in trouble, because he's essentially going to be looking to Corpse Explosion or any kind of combo that he can. He plays his Decaying Rhino, and now he's ahead of me in damage and controls the board. Nether Swarm Lord hoping to draw into something, but I'm pretty sure he'll end it this turn or the next. He decides to clear my entire board because he likely did not have Corpse Explosion in hand. And at this point, I don't really have anything that can help save me. I believe he has the damage on the board. And he does end it. Headed into game number 9 with 6 wins and 2 losses. Rank Mythic and a match time of 12 minutes and 1 second against a War deck. Another Mythic player with a no board and Trinket. Pretty satisfied with my opening hand, seeing a Necroceptor and a Ragnarok against a War deck. The double Necroceptor is not the best pull, but you never know what kind of Relic Destroy they could have, so. And of course, he gets off to a slow start. Then I think there's a strong chance I will be seeing an Olympian deck here. I am thinking about whether I should use my spell or should just kill my zombies, and I decide to save the spell because I'm going to continue to see things come back from that. And of course, Martyr of the White Plane being very strong. I decide to use Pharaoh's Heirloom and then just try to keep getting creatures out. Devouring Blade. His Devouring Blade gets lucky and kills the 5/1 I bought from the Sanctum, which was not cool at all. But luck beeth that way sometimes. Blade of the White Plane, and then I go ahead and drop my Obelisk, thinking he won't have a back-to-back, but of course he has an answer that clears my whole board. And then he gets the Nightleaf Stalker. I know holding the Corpse Explosion I could stand a chance if I could just get my combo off. And he does not get to clear the Arch this turn. I likely should end it here. And I go for the Ragnarok, the 3 zombies, and the explosion. I pull the Lambasting Wand. He is at 1. I think at this point I have it sealed up. But I may find out that disappointment is real as he plays the Grand Hall, giving all of his creatures leech, and then he plays Hortuck, another leech. I try to do everything I can to get some presence on the board, and I know he will end it this turn. Unfortunately, somewhere in that match, I made the mistake of not using my God Power when I should have, and so we are headed into game number 10 with 6 wins and 3 losses, rank of Mythic, and this match is 6 minutes and 6 seconds against a Deception deck. He is opening strongly. He keeps on flipping. He is looking for some certain cards, and I decide to just have as much presence as I can. I drop a Decaying Rhino and change my mind for the Fickle Cambion into the Firewall, and then I don't swing to lose my creatures. He Sleeping Darts my Fickle Cambion, and I decide to take the Firewall down and drop a Decaying Rhino. He added some burn to all my creatures, and then some card draw for himself. He gets a couple of cards, but I get a second Decaying Rhino. He's doing everything he can to suppress me. This is an interesting deck, and then I pull out an Obelisk, and he has used a lot of control, so I'm hoping at this point my zombies will keep coming. And then, of course, he Rapture Dances. So I get a Petulant Imp out and just start the process all over again. And of course, another Firewall, Ray of Disintegration, and taking it to his dome. I make sure he's unable to get rid of my Necroscepter. And I know drawing the Ragnarok, that's the end of the game. So I am headed out of day 22 with 7 wins and 3 losses and a total earned of 15.715 gods. Thank you for joining me at the Diamond Standard YouTube channel, and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.